What to expect before, during, and after the K-1 fiancé visa interview process. That's what we're talking about on today's episode of Sumner School Family Immigration Basics. My name is Emily Sumner, and this is a very common question that we have from clients: what to expect. It absolutely can be a stressful process, anxiety-provoking, but if you know what to expect, more or less, and you take things step by step, it can be a less daunting process. So let's take a look at what to expect before, during, and after the K-1 interview process. Once the I-129F petition is approved by USCIS, it is forwarded to the National Visa Center, also called the NVC. The NVC really doesn't do a whole lot with that petition. It will forward the petition to the relevant US consulate or embassy, the one that you've indicated on the I-129F petition. That's generally where the foreign national fiancé lives, or their home country. So look out for mail or emails from that consulate or embassy. Every post in the world, meaning every US consulate or embassy, has a slightly different process for the K-1 interview process, and it changes over time, which is fun. It would be great if we could say this is the way it happens, steps 1 through 10 every single time, but it's not. So make sure that you are on the lookout for mail, email. Usually they contact us by email, outlining the exact steps, and make sure that you pay attention to that. So typically, once you receive that email from the US consulate or embassy, it will give you a specific date and time for the interview. Before then, make sure that you have prepared for the interview. That means gathering the documents that you need, having the medical exam completed, and there will be very specific instructions on how to have that medical exam done, who needs to do it, that type of thing. You may have to have a biometrics appointment or a pre-screening appointment. Sometimes consulates will have a separate appointment for fingerprinting and to have your photo taken, and or for a person to review your documents to make sure that you have everything, and that will be before your actual interview date. In terms of documents that you'll need for the interview, it's different depending on different cases, but generally speaking, and different consulates have different requirements. Generally speaking, you will need the required form. There's a Department of State form that you'll have to complete. You will need your birth certificate, the certified copy or the original birth certificate. You'll need divorce decrees or death certificates if you or your fiance have been married before, a police certificate for every country that you've lived in since the age of 16, an affidavit of support with financial documentation, that type of thing. So again, make sure that you are reviewing the instructions carefully, checking the relevant consulate or embassy's website to make sure that you have everything, because every post is different and every case is different. So also remember that the I-129F, that petition, that approval notice, the I-129F approval notice, is valid for 4 months from the date of approval. It is possible in many cases to have the consulate extend it, but keep that in mind that it's valid for 4 months, so you don't want to drag this out over months and months and months. What is the purpose of the interview? Really, the purpose of this interview is to make sure that it is a true relationship and not just for purposes of a green card, and that the foreign national applying for the K-1 is eligible for the visa. So when you attend the interview, when you go into the building, you will probably have to wait. You'll go through security, of course. You'll probably have to wait a while, but at some point you will talk to the consular officer. When you talk to the officer, and keep in mind the interview could be pretty short, but when you talk to the officer, they will probably review your documents. They will ask questions. That there's no one set of questions that they go from, that they ask. It really can depend on the particular officer and the specifics of your case. But generally speaking, they may ask you things like, how did you meet your fiance? When did you meet your fiance? When is the last time that you saw your fiance in person? They may ask, what does your fiance do for a living? Where do they live? They may ask about wedding plans. The number one rule of these questions and of the interview, the whole process really, is to tell the truth and make sure that you are consistent with what has been presented before, assuming that's accurate. So if they ask you a question that you don't know the answer to, for example, if they ask you, what are your wedding plans? Of course, you want to make it clear that you plan to get married within 90 days of entering the United States. But let's say that you plan to get married, but then have a celebration later. It's totally fine to say that and to say, well, it really depends on the specific dates of my visa and how the immigration process goes. That's totally fine. So a few tips for the interview. Make sure that you have your documents well organized and clearly labeled. You will probably be nervous for the interview, and that's totally fine. It's to be expected. But if you have everything clearly organized, you'll feel a little bit calmer. Dress appropriately. Dress so it's clear that you're taking the process seriously and that you're respectful of the process. Bring your updated documentation of your relationship. So for example, updated photos, updated communication. If you have seen each other in person since the time the I-129F was submitted, that's excellent evidence to bring, and tell the truth. After the interview, so you've had the interview, they probably will keep your passport. They will stamp it. They'll put a visa in that's what's called a visa stamping. They'll put the visa in your passport and return it to you per the way that you have indicated. Usually you have to register the appointment before you have the interview, and you will get the passport back that way. It is possible if the visa it is possible that you would receive what's called a 221G, which is when the agency is not able to immediately approve your visa. So it might take longer. Typically, clients get the visa back within a couple of weeks. Sometimes it takes longer than that, and it can really depend on the circumstances. It is possible that a visa would be refused or denied, rather. And in that case, you want to make sure to have a consultation with your immigration lawyer who is helping you with the process. That's never a fun situation, and it's something that you have to navigate. It's fact specific. Once you receive the visa, you need to check it to make sure that all of the information is accurate, and check that validity date because you want to enter the United States, of course, before that visa expires. I hope that you have found this information helpful. If so, I hope that you will share this video with a family member or friend and subscribe to our channel. Any questions you have, put those in the comments, and I'm happy to answer them if I can. I can't answer legal, specific legal questions, can't give legal advice, but I'm happy to help. If you are ready to get started with the next step of your immigration journey, feel free to contact us. We would love for you to be our next client, and we'll have contact information on the outro slide coming up in just a second. Otherwise, my name is Emily Sumner with Sumner Immigration Law. We assist clients with employment-based and family-based cases around the world and around the United States. Until next time.